So good evening, everyone. So we have discussed a lot of things about, right from GRE sentence completion and reading comprehension strategies to different types of courses, how to do university shortlisting. So we have discussed a lot of things in this webinar series. We conduct these webinars every alternate Saturday. So we have this webinar today, and the next one is going to be on 9th December. We cover different topics in these webinars. If you have not taken your GRE yet, and if you are preparing for your GRE, go through the sentence completion and reading comprehension strategy sessions that the recordings are available on our YouTube channel. I'm sure you'll find them useful. So your AWA has 2 essays. I'm sure you know it. One of them is called issue. The other one is called what? Argument. Time management is extremely important when you are writing your issue. You have got 30 minutes, yes, but it does not mean 30 minutes of writing. You also need to plan it out, need to strategize, you need time to do the actual writing, yes, but you should also have time for revision. These are some suggested timelines. These are not hard and fast, so just spend about time yourself, spend about a minute reading the topic. Find 3 distinct examples. So I'll talk about what I mean by examples, and that's fine. 3 points, if you have got 3 points, that's enough. Don't be tempted to find more. Make a rough outline. So take about 3 minutes to do that. Then write. The actual writing, you should devote about 15 minutes. And then this is very important. Do give yourself 5 minutes at the end to revise. Okay. Now this 6 minutes, and 3 minutes, this can be cut down to 4 or 5 if you get a easy topic, right? This can be easily cut down to 4 to 5 minutes, so you get more time to write. But these are some suggested timelines. Next time you write an issue essay, just try to break it down accordingly. See, you need to write about about 500 words. So that actually does not take 15 minutes, right? If you have done all this portion then writing 500 words will not take that long. So 500 is the recommended word limit. No point trying to write a 700 or 1000 word essay, and also no point in don't just if it's less, about 300 words, that's not good. It's too short. So 500 is the recommended word limit. 450 is also okay. Beyond that, below that, anything below 450 becomes too short. Anything more than 700, that means you are just writing a lot, and you are not going to get any incremental benefit, right? So 500 is the sweet spot, is the ideal time, ideal length, right? And that does not take more than 15 minutes to type. All of us have pretty decent decent typing speed. Now the moment a lot of students do this mistake, the moment they see a topic, let's say the topic is honesty is the best policy. Of course your AWA topic is not going to be that simple, but let us use that as an example. So honesty is the best policy, that is the topic. Now don't make up your mind immediately. You may actually agree with it, or you may not agree with it, but that does not matter. What matters is that do you have enough content to write an essay? So if you say honesty is the best one, yes, I agree. Okay, now what? Do you have enough points? Do you have enough examples to substantiate your stand? That is why do not take a stand immediately after reading the topic. I'm assuming that you know what an issue topic is, right? So you will be given a topic, and then you will be asked to either agree with it or disagree with it, and then explain with elaborate on why you agree with it or why you disagree with it. So you have to take a stand. You have to say yes, I agree, or no, I do not agree. So you cannot write a neutral essay. You have to take a stand. Now this stand, whether it is a positive, whether you agree with the topic or not agree with the topic, do not take it immediately after reading the topic. So even a simple topic like honesty is the best policy, you may actually agree with it. That's perfectly fine, but it helps if you go through the process. Look for 3 points for and against. Now taking our example of honesty is the best policy, make a take a piece of scrap paper. So on your GRE exam date, you will be given rough sheets to work with, right? So just write for, and against, and then just write 3 points each, about why you agree with the statement that honesty is the best policy, or why you disagree. Write 3 points. Search for examples using the splash system. So there is a system that we talk about, a splash system. So I will elaborate on that. Search for examples. Now let's say your point number 1 for point number 2, point number 3, right? So let's say you have got 3 points for and 3 points for against. Now see whether you have examples, examples for these points. So you may find examples for only 1 or 2 points, right? And that is perfectly fine. Now for the for ones, let's say you find one example. For against, you do not find any example at all. That is fine. That means that you have to go with that your stand should be for. Similarly, if let's say for against, you found 2 examples, but for you did not find any example, or you found only 1 example, then go with the against. So that is why the 6 minutes, the time that is allotted to deciding what points to talk about. So that is why to do the whole thinking and planning, you need that much time. Now splash, let me first just show what this splash means. So examples. See, if I ask you for examples, you may have difficulty in finding what examples, how to think about examples. So the splash method, helps you think about examples. Splash means means science. So if for any topic, let's say, okay, do I have any examples related to science? Personal. So do I have any examples related to personal, to your own personal life? That is, do I have any examples for literature, arts, story and history? So it helps you find examples instead of just looking for examples in the dark. When you have these headings, when you categorize the examples in this 6 broad categories, it helps you find examples faster. On exam that you do not have too much time to find examples. So for instance, honesty is the best policy. Maybe your 4 point is that the good thing about being honest is that you will have a clear conscience and you will be able to face yourself in the mirror. Okay, now what example can you give for that? Okay, do I have any example for the science domain or personal? So just if you have, then write it. Literature or arts means anything, movies, music, theater, any kind of arts related. Maybe you can talk about in literature you can talk about the Shakespeare's play Macbeth. In Macbeth, Lady Macbeth was not able to because she was not honest. She actually went through a lot of mental disorder. So I mean, you can so once you go through these headings, ask yourself, okay, do I have any story related to this? Do I have any examples from history? Do I have any examples of from history to substantiate this point? So just these are some broad categories which will help you kind of find examples. They see a quality of an issue essay. The more examples you have, the better it is. So if you have 3 points and if you have 1 example for each, that is very good. So in any essay where you do not have enough examples, that will not get that high score. So be very clear that at least your essay should have at least 1 example. Worst case scenario, at least you can give a personal some example or some story from your personal life. But as I say, this is the absolute last option. If you can find something, some example related to science, literature, arts or history, so definitely that will add more value to your essay. Now after you have done this, after first you read the topic, then make points, find 3 points why you support the topic, or 3 points why you do not support the topic, and then try to find at least one example for 1 or 2 examples for each point. Just spend 4 or 5 minutes doing that, and then pick the stand where you find most examples, right? So is this step clear to everybody? Any questions? We'll talk more about this in the next slide, but till now, anybody has any questions? So just to elaborate, what comes under, what categories or what things can you give examples from? So in science, it can be inventions, so it can be discoveries, like Columbus reached the Americas, and he thought that it was India, or the discovery of penicillin, it was just by accident, so some stories, some examples related to discoveries, or the atomic structure of benzene molecule, was discovered when he was sleeping, so it came in his dream. Then personal can be anything. It can be related to some failure. You did something and then you did not get the desired results. So what did you learn from that? Challenges, maybe there was some challenge and you overcame it using some whatever method it is, some stepwise method, or by sticking to your principles, whatever it is. So based on these stories, based on these, okay. Literature. Now this is one recommendation. If you are well read, then great. You will never have any shortage of examples, trust me. But if you are not well read, now I will never recommend you to start reading books, because you cannot do it in a couple of months. You have to have a history of reading to end up being well read. Otherwise, these are 2 short books that I will recommend you guys. Animal Farm and Jonathan Livingston Seagull. So these are very short books, but very famous books, and they are extremely abstract. What it means is that you will definitely find examples for almost everything in these books, right? So in fact, these are less than 100-page books. So you should be actually able to finish it in a week or so. So if you irrespective of whether you like reading or not, just for your issue essay, if you have time, I would recommend you to read these 2 specific books, and when you try out different topics, I'm pretty sure you will find some examples, at least one example from either of these books. Now arts can mean movies, stories related to musicians, or movie stars, or so anything related to the arts. These are some movies from where they're very good. You can get some pretty decent examples from these movies. Now when you are talking about literature and arts, don't give examples of Indian books. Like in arts, no point giving example of an Indian movie like I don't know, whatever, like Golmaal 3 or whatever. That doesn't help. Give only examples from global movies or global literature. So when you're talking about giving examples of books, don't give examples of examples from like I know Immortals of Meluha, or any Indian book, right? Pick famous books. The book can be by Indians. Like if you give examples from books related by Jhumpa Lahiri or Salman Rushdie, that's fine. They are world-renowned writers, and these are world-renowned books. But try to keep your examples as global as possible. Stories. Now stories can be around mythology. That means, so if you have to give an example of how pride comes before fall, then you can give examples of example of Icarus. There are lots of examples. Icarus who flew too close to the sun and his wings melted, etc. From Greek mythology. There are a lot of stories from Egyptian mythology, even Hindu mythology works. So you will find a lot of these moral oriented stories from mythology. That's very good in a lot of cases, especially in a lot of moral topics like honesty is the best policy, or people should first rectify themselves before giving advice. There are in issues sometimes you get this moral oriented topics. For these, mythology examples work a lot, because mythology they are stories designed to have a moral, right? Every story has a moral, so having a strong mythology background helps. If nothing else, I'm sure you would know the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. You will know stuff from there. Stories around Gandhi, Newton, like Gandhi, the whole non-violent violence thing, you can talk about that. Newton, Einstein, Lincoln. So these are some very famous personalities. There are a lot of stories about their lives that are very famous, right? So these you can draw as examples to give examples, when you have to prove your point or when you have to make a stand, right? Now, history is again a very good place to find examples, like if you have to talk about taking any decision, hasty decision, you can give the example of Muhammad bin Tughlaq changing his capital, etc., etc. Or if you have to give example of how it is very important to to be disciplined, you can give the example of Napoleon's defeat. So I'm sure you have always just you know a lot of this stuff because it is available on the internet, or because you have always studied in your school during a school time till now. So history, examples related to apartheid. I hope you know what apartheid is. Apartheid is when there is a discrimination between black and white related to slavery, right? So these are some very famous personalities from whose life you can give examples. Helen Keller, Florence Nightingale, Hitler, Nelson Mandela. So these are some historical figures, based on whose life you can give examples, right? So so what I'm trying to say is that if your issue essay does not have at least one example, then it is highly unlikely that you will get a good grade. And so you have to work on these examples. Okay, so there are certain things that you can do. So this splash method is one thing. Now how to go about preparing is that luckily all the pool of topics. So in GRE, they have this pool of topics from which the issues come in the exam, right? So it is available on the GRE website. This is the link, right? So if you click there, you will see the entire list, list of topics that come in the exam. So if you just have a few examples ready for each, have splash examples ready for some generic, little bit generic topics such as good bad effect of technology, good bad effect of formal education, good bad effect of uniformity, pros and cons of having strict laws, individual benefit versus greater good. So around these wide spectrum of topics, if you have examples, right, you may even decide, okay, that you agree that the effect of technology is bad, and then you can have 2-3 points and one example of each, right? So if you do this exercise, you will find that for most of the issue topics you will end up having examples, right? So you will not only be able to take a stand sooner, but you will also end up having examples. So do this exercise, and you don't need actually more preparation than this. This should be enough, at least for giving examples. Obviously you have to work on your writing and also, which I'll cover in the next segment, but at least the whole thing about not having examples, that is the main mistake that Indian students do. I have seen a lot of essays, a lot of issue essays that our students write, and very often they do not give any example. They just say, okay, I agree with this because of this, that, but there are no examples to substantiate that point, right? Or even examples to say that, well, this person did this and therefore he faced this, etc., etc. No examples at all, right? And lack of examples will lead to a very poor score in your issue. And as you know, you need at least a 4 out of 6, to get into a top 50 university. If your AWS score is less than 3, then it will be extremely difficult for you to get admission in a good university. Let's this is an actual issue topic, from the pool of topics. Let's do this as a workshop. So let's try out whatever we have learned till now. So the topic is, a nation should require all of its students to study the same national curriculum until they enter college. Okay, so everybody understood this topic, right? Now can you give me some points for? Let's find 3 points for. That means, yes, I agree that a nation should have a national curriculum, should require. That means it's a mandatory curriculum for all students, right? So can you give me some points why you agree? Let's do this as an exercise. Can you give me, just give me points. If it is a for point, then write for. If it is an against point, then write against. Against means you do not agree that a nation should require, should have a mandatory national curriculum. That is what you are saying, yeah. Okay, so Shweta's point is that assessing students will be easier and it will be fair because everybody is getting assessed on the same parameter. So if somebody has a 60%, so it is fine. 60% means 60%, right? Assessing is easier. Okay, then Sandeep has a point for saying that everybody has equal opportunities after they finish schooling. Yes, good. And equal opportunities. Anamika's point is same standard of education. Okay, same standard of education, right? Okay, good points. Any other? Just give, it doesn't matter if you can give me 4 points or against a point, doesn't matter. Yeah, if you have any more 4 points also, you can tell me. On exam day, if you have found these 3 points, you should stop. But now, since we are doing it as an example, we can add more points. What can be against? Okay, Ravi is saying that it can be burdensome for some students, some students may not be able to handle, let's say there are students who are bad in math, so they may not be able to handle the math curriculum, So Krishna is saying that students will not get opportunity to explore their interest. Opportunity to not explore, to further their interest, Okay. Then Anamika's point is forcing people to study something that they are not interested in, which is like equivalent to burdensome. Rasika is saying some part of curriculum is mandatory and some part optional as per individual likings. No, that is not what the question is. So question is saying that it should, you are saying that what is the ideal situation, but you cannot take that. You should have to, say either the nation should require or should not require, It is difficult to implement curriculum, okay? Difficult to implement. There's another point saying everyone will know about national language, which is beneficial. No, that is not exactly a point. It's not about the language or communication, Shweta is okay. Some are capable of studying in ICSE, but those who are not to grab English, maths, thought. Okay, this is the same point as burdensome. So, and Ravi, it is the same point as that there is no opportunity to further somebody's interest. So, in other words, limiting or narrowing boundaries for an individual. Okay, so I think we have got enough, three points each. So let's now try to find example. Okay, this is a difficult part. Okay, you have got the points. Getting the points, finding 3 points for and finding 3 points for against will not take you that much time, right? What about examples? In for we have decided it will be uniform. Assessments. Assessment will be it will be easier to compare people. So, what do you have any examples related to that? What example can you give? What can you say? So you can simply say that if a student so students can be directly compared. Somebody with a 65% and somebody who has a 70%. So 70% is higher than 65%. Currently, if somebody has if students are taking all different types of courses, then it is not then 65% cannot be directly compared with a 75%. But if every student is studying exactly the same subjects, then it can be. So you can give that example itself, right? Equal opportunity, what example can you give? What example can you give? So you just can't say that your point cannot be that, well, they will have equal opportunities after studying. You will have to give some examples. You have to substantiate it. So what example will you give? Anybody, any example? True, you can say that equal opportunity means that so anybody so let's say anybody can now try to be an engineer. Anybody can try to be a doctor. Anybody can try to study commerce. It has so everybody has equal opportunity, right, to be whatever they want to be. So because the curriculum did not restrict them from studying something, right? So currently you can say people who are in the humanities, they cannot appear for the engineering entrance exams, something like that. Okay. so you have to give examples. You just cannot say that students can get example in based on not so right on, and don't say CBSE ICSE. That is not the point. The point is that they can study whatever they want to. Everybody has equal opportunity, right? Same standard. Now you have to it said it is easier to, it will be easier to maintain. Well, because you have to now substantiate the examples by saying that because since the curriculum is uniform and same, then the government, it will be easier for the government to to arrange teacher trainings. It will be easier to implement tools for education. It will be easier to implement any kind of changes or any kind of modifications and updates, because it is standardized all throughout, because it is uniform and exactly the same, right? So right from teacher training to updating courses, it will be very easy. It will be far easier to implement. So you can talk about that. Now coming to against, so when you say burdensome, what do you have points for burdensome? Okay, let's don't forget our splash, right? These are the categories that you have to scan through, to find examples. In burdensome, the easiest thing you can say is that not everybody can, not everybody can do everything. And for that, now what examples can you give? You can give examples that let's say a famous writer like J.K. Rowling, or any famous writer, or Shakespeare, any famous writer that you know of, it's not guaranteed that that person will also be equally good in science and math. So if J.K. Rowling or Shakespeare or George Bernard Shaw, or if they were a student, they will not probably even be able to pass the exams. So by requiring all students to study the same curriculum, we may in a way be actually preventing the future J.K. Rowlings or future Shakespeares from being successful. So you can use that, right? It's easier to it's easier to give examples than opportunity to again, if people will not, let's say somebody is interested in science, somebody wants to be a scientist, or somebody wants to make robots, or somebody wants to be an author, right? So but if he is if he is not getting ample opportunity to explore his interest or to further his interest, then he will just end up being a generalist instead of a specialist, right? So so give examples of, you can give examples like Einstein. So if an Einstein or a Newton did not get the opportunity to explore their interest, then we would probably not have the scientific inventions that we have today. Okay, something like that. So so did you understand what kind of how you have to give the examples? Right, if Sachin Tendulkar had taken, so you don't give now Sachin Tendulkar, right? Say if Roger Federer had to do engineering, or had to to pass his schooling, if Roger Federer had to do equal amount of science and humanities and biology and history, he would probably have been so bogged down with his studies that he would not have become Roger Federer, So, so are you able to understand how to give the examples? As I said, keep the examples as global as possible. Okay, now that you have got the examples, so which now the essay, which side will you take, for or against? So we talked about examples, right? Which examples did you find to be better, for side or against side? Where did you find better examples? Against, right? So even though we found, when we're looking for, we found the points for pretty easily, yes, when we were trying to find points for. Now all of you were able to give me the points very quickly. In fact, against we were able to find only 3 points. For actually there are a lot of points and we wrote down only 3. Yes, everybody agrees? But when we now started writing, thinking about the examples, we realized that we went through the list, we realized that we have far better examples in against than for. So even though on exam day you probably would have started writing the essay for, because the points came out so very fast in your head, so you would have probably sat down to write the essay with for. But now that you have gone through the process of writing both and then finding examples, you will write against and your essay will come out to be far stronger. Yes? Do you agree? So that is why now this will I mean, see, learning anything new and implementing takes time, right? So but the next time you sit down to do your essay, this is what I mean, don't just read, oh okay, I have found something, let me start reading. Very bad approach. Spend 4 or 5 minutes in doing this, exactly this, and then start writing. That thinking process itself will give you enough content to write the essay. Anybody has any questions till now? Everybody understood, right? If you have any questions, please ask. This is the most significant part. Okay. Now some tips on, we talked about writing the outline. Remember that after you are done with this deciding what to write, you just write so things like this. The first paragraph should be an introduction where restate or summarize the issue in 2-3 sentences, but do not use exactly the same words. Bring in a little bit additional or little bit different vocabulary. Do not use exactly the same words to restate the topic. So literally rewrite the topic, say, and then say at the end of the paragraph, with a sentence, state your stand. For example, if you agree, then you can say things like, I cannot agree more, or I wholeheartedly agree, or I completely agree with the author. Anything to show if you are going to write a for essay. If you are going to write an against essay, then it's like, I will have to respectfully disagree with the author, or I am not completely aligned with the author's thought process. Something, a sentence to show that you are going to write an against essay. So this sentence is extremely important because you will have to clearly show your stand. So this is the first paragraph. Then you start the second with the first point and the first example. Then the second point and the second example, third point and the third example. There should be smooth transition from the at the beginning of the paragraph. So the second paragraph where you're going to write your first point, you can start with firstly, etc. Then the next paragraph there should be a transition. So use transitional words such as second, secondly, moreover, additionally, in addition, also, something, etc. Last point you can also write last but not the least. So these transition words at the beginning of the paragraphs are extremely important, right? These are called transition words. You can then smoothly transition from one point to another. The last paragraph should be the conclusion. So start. Now this is the important part. Let's say in our the example that we discussed about government, not government, sorry, the uniform uniform curriculum, uniform national curriculum. Let's say you wrote an against essay. Now in the last paragraph you should now give couple of a couple of sentences for the other side also, that to show that you have thought out the entire process and then you have taken the decision. That is where the table that we made for and against, that is where the table comes in use. So when you are writing, you can go back and now say that, oh well, even though I am not in favor of having a standardized blah blah blah, there are some distinct advantages, especially in a country like India, where the population is like more than 1 billion. A national curriculum will definitely be easier to implement, and it will also, so you can give a couple of points, and then but end by reiterating your stance, saying that in spite of this, I think a mandatory uniform curriculum will end up doing more harm than help. Now this point is very important. Giving a couple of points against also. So if you are writing an against essay, in the final paragraph, give a couple of points for. If you are writing a for essay, then give a couple of against points, and finally end with your stand. Saying that, well, in spite of all of that, I agree. I stand by my decision. I agree or I disagree. Whatever your stand is, right? This now, if you do not have this point, by the way, it reduces the quality of your essay. So to keep up your quality, how do you improve the quality of your essay? Number one, have examples. Number two, have this portion in your last paragraph. Any questions? Everybody understood how the flow should be? Write in first person, that means write I, use the word I, that means, okay. Don't say that, okay, it is true that I agree, use I agree, I think, according to me, this should be, write this essay in first person, because you are supposed to be giving your opinion, okay. Essay should neither be, I already covered this, so 500 is like the midpoint, good enough. Flow from one paragraph to another should be seamless. That is where you use your transition words, when you shift from one paragraph to the other. This is very important, don't try to be humorous. What seems funny to you may be offensive to someone else, right? So don't try to be humorous, especially, even avoid, jokes, or avoid stuff regarding religions, etc. These are not good. Don't talk about, political stance also, right? So, be very, it is extremely important for you to be politically correct, right? So these are some generic rules to make your essay, to make your essay good. So a hit or miss effort with spellings does not help. So you should know that the AWA software, the software using which you will be typing your AWA essay in GRE, it does not have spell check or grammar check. Okay, so you will have to be very careful with your spellings. A lot of us, we work on MS Word, and MS Word automatically gives us the correct spelling. So our spellings are probably not as good as they should be, but now for GRE, to write your AWA essay, you have to make sure that you don't make spelling errors. So for 3-4 spelling errors, there will probably be a deduction of 0.5, so but 0.5 can be the difference between 3.5 and 4. So if you are not sure of a word spelling, don't use the word. Okay, so if you are if you're not 100% sure of the spelling of a word, change the word and use something else. Don't make grammatical mistakes. If you are not very confident of your writing skills, stick to short and simple sentences. If you think you're good with writing, then write long sentences. No problem with that. But if you're not very confident, then write in active voice. Do not have too many clauses. Just stick to short and simple sentences. Follow American style of spellings, like for example, center is the American, center is British, this is American, this is British. So stick with American style of spellings. Okay, don't mix it, don't mix the both. So these are some very basic errors that you should avoid, very basic errors that you should avoid. Okay, this, see, if you make a lot of spelling mistakes, if you make a lot of grammatical mistakes, so it will probably cost you a point, you know. In fact, essays which get, you know, 6 out of 6, they also tend to have some spelling errors and grammar errors. That is perfectly fine, but if you make too many of them, then you can lose up to 1 point, you know, and this is 1 point that you can definitely, you know, save yourself from losing. The last stage of your AWA issue essay writing is revise and refine. Okay, there's a difference between revision and refining. So remember at the very outset when I gave you a suggested timeline, so we had saved like 5 minutes for revision. So revise your essay thoroughly. Look out for typos, spelling errors and missed words. Missed words means if I say revise essay thoroughly, you know, that means I just forgot to type in the word your. So these are called missed words. Okay. Look out for common replacement errors. Replacement errors means, you know what THRE means. You also know what THER means, but by mistake, you know, you type in like instead of go there THERE, you may end up typing THEIR. These are called common replacement errors. So I mean, you know what they mean, but you're just by mistake you typed out something else. Accept instead of accept, you know, all of you know the difference between two, but sometimes by mistake you may type in one. So look out for these. Look out for these kind of errors while revising. Don't do anything else. So now refining is the next stage, right? Refine your essay only after completing 1 round of revision. Okay. So in revision you are only doing these, by the way. You are doing only these 2 things, this and this. You are doing only these 2 things. You are not doing anything else. Refining means, let's say you are reading a sentence in your essay and you think that it can be improved, that it can be made better, or it can be rewritten, right? So that is called refining. So it might be, you know, you might want to, while revising itself, you might want to, you know, make a sentence better or something, but I would strongly recommend you to go to refining only after you have done 1 round of revision. Okay, after you are done with 1 round of revision, 1 round of thorough revision, if you have time, only then refine. Okay, only then work on, you know, improving the language or adding one more example or you know, changing a sentence. All this refine, you know, editing stuff, you know, do only after you are done with 1 round of revision. Now this also students they don't understand the significance of this, you know. Now sometimes they would just, you know, while in the last 5 minutes while revising, they will just start adding sentences, trying to make it sound better, and then in the last 2 paragraphs they would not have any time even to revise, and there will be a lot of grammatical and spelling errors, and they lose 0.5. So what's the point in that, right? So now do not start to rewrite the essay. Very, you know, wrong thing to do. Remember, an AWA essay is not expected to be an award-winning literary piece. Okay, you are just supposed to get a 4 out of 6. You know, keep that in mind. You need a 4 out of 6. Okay, whether you have 4.5 or 6 out of 6, it does not really matter. You need a 4 out of 6. That's it. You know, universities are not going to give extra point to somebody who has 6 out of 6 or 5 out of 6. If the cutoff is 4, you just need to get the 4. Remember that. Keep telling yourself that. Okay, now very important. 5 steps to writing a great AWA essay. Simple, right? So if you have not started, you know, practicing your AWA, then write 1 essay every week. Remember, you need a 4 in the AWA section to meet the cutoffs of universities. Okay. Now, after 2 essays, the issue essay is tougher than the argument essay. The argument essay is kind of, you know, simple. It's simpler, far simpler than the issue essay. So issue essay is the one where Indian students, they get stuck, purely because it requires you to be well read enough or have enough information of current affairs to be able to provide necessary examples. But if you prepare well, like we discussed today, if you prepare well, then there's no reason why you will not get a good score in your AWA, in your issue essay as well. On the day of the GRE exam, do not overthink the AWA essay. Remember, it's the first section on your GRE exam. You still have like all the sections left to go. Your sections have not started out yet. So don't overthink the AWA essay. You have to write 2 essays. So if you get tired writing the 2 essays, no point in that. That is why we this session or the tips that we give, they're so very mechanical, because you just have to remember, I told you that the moment you find 3 points, move on. Don't spend too much time. The reason is that you cannot get tired before the actual exam. AWA section, you just have to get a 4 out of 6. So I'm done. If you want to leave, you can log out. So have a nice weekend, all of you.